be something that would take a long time to deliver, but in a few weeks, I think Candy here agreed to come, and frantically the arrangements were made, and I'm so glad that so many people from so many different sports have been able to turn out. One of my biggest concerns has always been, and I think if you've paid attention to football in Ghana, you will see it manifest itself very strongly, where every 5 or 10 years or so, a group of people calling themselves the Old Footballers Association come out and express their concerns about how they're not being taken care of. And it strikes me that one of the responsibilities we have, first as athletes ourselves, but also as people who then preside over the various sports, is that we have to teach our sporting members that ultimately the responsibility of taking care of themselves is one that is their obligation. You make yourself, or you put yourself at the risk of being disappointed if at the end of your career you anticipate that somebody else is going to take care of you, and then when they don't take care of you, it creates certain unhappy feelings within you. So I think it's a job that we all have as we go through sports, to always keep in mind and to think about what happens after sport. Something that I tell my athletes in athletics all the time is, I think I was one of the longest serving athletes. I competed until I was 39. But no matter how long you compete for, one day that light just goes off. Your body starts doing things or refuses to do things that 5 years ago it could do. And if you keep trying to push it, you'll start seeing injuries every 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then very soon your body tells you, I'm not going anymore. If you want to go, you can go, but leave me alone. So at some point, I tell my athletes that even if you compete till 39 or 40, you're going to live till you're 80 or 90. That means there's a 40 or 50 years after your sporting life. And when we look at our football players, and I keep using them as an example because in their 30 years or up to age 40, even if they compete up to age 40, they make a lot of money, much more than the rest of us in other sports. But they have to be able to do something that takes them for another 40 or 50 years. And we've seen how, unfortunately, many of our football players, 5, 10 years after they finish playing, come back down to the level that the rest of us are at. And it shouldn't be that way. And the best way to insulate yourselves against that is to make sure that you prepare for your career after your sporting career. And so for us, this was why this program was so important. This was why this program was, we thought was really relevant and necessary for us in Ghana. Now, the question is the sustainability. I mean, I doubt that you're leaving for Nigeria tomorrow morning, right?
Yes.
And you're doing this in Nigeria tomorrow afternoon or something, the next day.
The next day.
Okay. So unless she makes this her career, going from country to country to country to country to country, we have to realize that the IOC Athlete Career Program is not something that the IOC can do in every country, every year. If we're lucky, 3 years from now, she or somebody else will come back. But in the interim, we've got to find a way to sustain this. And the World Olympians Association, there's this body called the World Olympians Association, whose interest really is, whose mandate really is the interest of athletes, Olympic athletes. So I think that the Ghana Olympians Association, I was talking to Mr. Sylvie today, and what he's saying is that maybe this is a role that they can step in to play. So, such that if it's every year or if it's every 6 months, I think they're going to have to decide how they do it. But it's something that they should be able to implement something of this sort, maybe even different levels, so that people should be able to benefit from this, even if the IOC doesn't come every year. So that's one way that perhaps in Ghana we should be able to sustain something of this sort. But we should also recognize that the biggest things, and I'm sure you've mentioned this, but one of the biggest ways that people get jobs, one of the biggest ways that people find ways to improve themselves is through networks. And so with him having been here today and with the other members of the Olympians Association, hopefully if between now and the next seminar, whether the next seminar is 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, you have certain needs, that is at least one place that you can go. If somebody calls you for an interview and you want to talk to somebody who has a little bit of experience before you go for that interview, I think the Olympians Association should be a place that you can go to for that kind of help. So I'm hoping, we heard the two speakers who basically indicated that they had gotten something from this. I'm hoping that all of you leave here at a better place than when you came in this morning. I'm hoping that these are issues that you continue to think about. And you know, ultimately, if after your careers you are able to position yourselves very well, then for me the other benefit for Ghana is that once you've taken care of yourselves and you're in a good place, it becomes a lot easier for you then to support the athletes of that day as they come up.